and love chatting it up. And also join fellow Buckeyes and anybody that loves the Buckeyes. So.
Absolutely. So I have to ask, it's been a crazy summer. And when I reached out to you, which feels like it was 1,000 years ago, we thought life was going one way. It's gone multiple ways now. What have you been doing since kind of life shut down in March, and how have you been kind of navigating these ever-changing waters?
Yeah, it's been wild. As I said, we were talking earlier, just how unique this has been, and also how much of an individual experience it has been for every person that's gone through the pandemic. And some people it's been a positive, others it's been a life changer in a negative way, and just whether it's your career or health and loved ones. So it's kind of an odd balance. For me, it's been good, less travel, been able to be at home. We've been working. Basically, the last thing I did work-wise that was normal was I went to the ACC tournament and the SEC tournament to scout for the draft. And was down in Greensboro and Greenville, South Carolina and North Carolina, and came home, and that's when pretty much things started to shut down. So for us, we're adjusting to, we could still do our work via watching film. They decided soon after that we're going to have a draft. So we were still in kind of the mix of that. Obviously up in the air is the season and how does it look? And then on top of that, then we have, the George Floyd incident here in Minneapolis is where I'm at currently. And just how that also changed it was about humanity, right? It was about being human and being treated and being equal, and the racism that we have in our country, and the systematic racism. And I'm glad it got taken in the forefront. I'm glad many people are talking about it, speaking about it, living it, and I hope we don't let it go away. I hope we challenge people and try to make real change that will make life better for everyone that is in this country. So it's just been lots of emotions. Yeah. A lot of uncertainty in a lot of ways for a lot of people, but also just a bigger piece of we have to be better people. We have to be kind. We have to respect people for our differences, because that's what makes us amazing. So it's just, and it's been heavy on a lot of people. And if you have a diverse group of friends, I mean, what they go through on a daily basis, that is different than what I go through. It's unbelievable to know their experience and to listen and to feel it. And you want to be part of the change and part of the positive part. So we got to keep pushing for folks.
Sports has had a really both special and controversial space in seeking equality. And I think the WNBA has been, in a lot of ways, a leader in that regard. Mm-hmm. Maybe certain aspects of men's sports have not followed the same pathway. What have you seen from a WNBA perspective, and just from your engagement in women in sports in general, in terms of the quest for equality and the quest to be heard as people in addition to being athletes?
I think the WNBA has been amazing. I think our hiring practices, the kind of diversity of what we have, but using our voices, I think with really speaking up about, I think it was 4 years ago, it was the Dallas dive. It was Black Lives Matter. It was, I think, Eric Gardner. It was I Can't Breathe. Pride Month, having a float in the New York parade. It's like, I think we embrace, like, you look at the demographic, you look at our players, like just who we are and where we come from, and as women. So I just feel like the WNBA is kind of always out on the front when it comes to being able to speak up. To try to make, initiatives and try to be kind of a leader in those fields and be able to talk about it. Maybe not always right, maybe not always perfect, but the willingness to represent for a bigger voice and for equality and for diversity is huge. And again, we're always learning, always trying to do better, but I do think that we're a leader in that. And we have to, right? Because our players are everything, have to represent and understand and listen and value and try to push that meter, whether it's hiring women, making it, making sure that you're doing people of color, and making sure that we're out there really searching and being intentional, and just doing better overall.
I mean, you've had so many different experiences in your career. If you thought back to when you started, and we do have a question about how you did get started playing basketball, but even moving forward through time of all the different teams you played for and now your WNBA experiences, did you ever, what was your kind of thought as to how women's sports would be shaped between the time you started and now, and has that come to fruition?
It's wild because when I started playing, I started on an all boys team in 5th grade. There weren't all the girls teams of the younger ages. I have 2 brothers, so I'm used to it, and I played because I loved it. Mom threw us in this. I was in dance. did this. I played football with my brothers. Just be active. So then you go junior high, like everything's mapped out. You play junior high, you play high school. And then during the time of junior high, I started to go to camps, played at AAU, started to get recruited, and didn't really understand it, didn't really know it. My dad played college football, but everything evolved, and it just wasn't on the front of my mind of like, hey, you're going to be a basketball player and you're going to go to college and play. It was more just kind of ended up being that because I loved it. But then when I got to college, I thought I wanted to be an Olympian. I had that in my head. I love the Summer Olympics. And I was like, man, that'd be awesome to be an Olympian one day. Never in my wildest dreams did I think of basketball being a career. I wanted to be an Olympian. And then when 96 came about, in 1996, the tryouts in that 96 women, the Olympic team,
Mm-hmm.
when that team got picked, it was not only for them to train and become the best team and players they could be and go to the Olympics in Atlanta and win. They also did a promotional tour. Like they toured around. They played college games, teams, and they promoted the USA team and they promoted women's basketball. And out of that came 2 professional leagues here in the United States, the ABL, the American Basketball League, and the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
So that changed my trajectory of my career and my life at that year, and the support they garnered and the investment they got from the WNBA and ABL. That's when I was like, oh, all right, I'll play. But I still had no clue that would be my career for 17 years. And now eventually into the coaching side. So my whole mindset of basketball being a career changed throughout my playing days and now into my coaching days. And I benefited from Title IX. I benefited from the women before that battled and didn't have the resources and didn't get the gear and didn't travel well. Like I listened to stories from, women that are coaching and have battled that. We got, chartered planes at Ohio State and, got some of those perks, of being an athlete. Was it good enough? Are there things that we still need to battle for and the equality of it all? Yes. But the resources and the ability to play a sport, to be now then compensated for it, and make it a profession was something that never thought. Glad I had a chance to, and now want to be an advocate for better conditions, better salaries, more publicity, more coverage, more support, and the equality of that. Yes, I mean that's what we want now, is to make sure that things are better for those that come behind us, because there was a ton of people who came before me. I mean, Phyllis Bailey at Ohio State is one of them, who was a pioneer to all of this. I mean, Nancy Darsh, when she coached. I mean, Tara was there. I mean, you have Jim Jones, even obviously a lot of men supporters and our allies to push that. So just you need a lot of people in that fight. But I think now we all grow up and get older, you start to see the big picture. And then now how do you impact things where you're at in your life?
I mean, it is interesting what, and I had the great fortune, I'm sure you don't remember this, but I do. I interviewed you when you were with the Quest back in the day.
Yes.
And that didn't succeed. And we've had so many other leagues that were devoted to advancing women as athletes that didn't succeed. Women's soccer, we all pay attention to it every 4 years. And those people who are fans will keep going, but it's easy for others to kind of fall off. What is it about the time of now that's allowed the traction of the WNBA, besides the obvious financial commitment? And can we maintain that traction or advance it for other women in other sports?
I hope so. I mean, I do, but it has to come from all ways, right? It has to be from a corporation standpoint of spending that money to women's sports, right? And there's lots of corporations that support and buy suites and put their money into men's sports. But, women having to be in those levels of where the money goes and being able to put it towards these leagues. So corporations and really getting them behind and investing in it. Obviously sports coverage, valuing it. We don't get, I think it's some ridiculous number of like 4% of whatever footage is on ESPN or Sports Center is of women's sports. So, and then I also think there's like the grassroots thing of respecting women and understanding women can do the same thing, and that the value in being athletes, it doesn't mean we have to dunk on everybody as a basketball player, but valuing what we do and the work we put in, and that it's equal. So we need to figure out, be obviously to make money, you have to earn money and bring money in to then pay your athletes, or you won't have a league. So that we understand that, but we got to find ways for corporations, for coverage, for then people to value it. And then also just as basketball players and athletes and the women, we need to support each other and make sure that we're going out supporting each other, putting money involved when we have the chance to. And that's from us to non-athletes. All of us need to support each other and push each other forward, and use our voices, and then bring everybody along with us.
Absolutely. Well, a friend of yours and mine who has done the kind of that pathway ahead, Kristen Watt, has a question. She thanks you for being here. And she mentions that one of your early career goals was to be a dentist like your father, but instead you of course chose basketball. She says many of us have had careers pick us instead of the other way around. And so which bucket do you fall in, and what is your kind of future goal look like?
Yeah, so dentistry was the goal. Kristen is right, and a lot of people I meet who don't follow sports think I end up doing that. I truly believe that my career and where I'm at now chose me. It's sports, basketball. Just I was good at it. I had a love for it, and just never knew that this was the path I would follow. So I do believe that it chose me. Now what I do with it, the playing for 17 years, and then slide in the coaching side. I love it. I love the game. I love what it gives you. I love the journey, both the positive and the negative, and what it teaches you. So I would love to continue to coach. I would love to be a head coach, whether it's in the WNBA or in a college, or at a college or university. I would love to give back to the game and to the young women who I can tell you and show you this is the journey, and this is the experiences and the friendships and the camaraderie, and then the chance to make a living, and then also have a voice and a platform. So I would love to do that and continue to do that. I did go back and get my master's at Ohio State in medical dietetics. And I'd also like to figure out how to use that in some form of like a community wellness. So lots of things. I still, as I said, I haven't figured out what I'm going to do when I grow up, but the basketball side of coaching is where I'd like to be, and really just give back to something that's given me so much. Like my adult life has been guided by this and the people in it and the experiences that I've had. And it's just been a blessing and something I would have never pitched myself, the things I've gotten to do and the people I've gotten to meet and the people that are in my life. So
awesome. Well, Steve Chapelier is actually wondering, kind of dovetailing off this, what can be done to get more women as college head basketball coaches? And I think, unfortunately, we're seeing the trend go in the other direction, where maybe we saw more women and now those positions are going more to men. What's kind of your take on the current climate, as well as where we could go in the future?
So I think I think we first have to have a network, and we have to understand, promoting ourselves and allowing people to know that you're interested. I do think we're held to a different standard. I think if we have a poor year or something happens, then you're kind of like off to the side and never get a chance. I think there's a standard that for women is just, and also people of color, women of color, it's like you have to be perfect. Wow. Well, honestly, sometimes your male counterpart and they get rehired. So that standard, so that means if you can have more diversity, more women in decision-making places, or respected, or have ADs that really see the value in seeing somebody like you leading you and allowing them to see what that looks like, allowing them to build that in them. But I think there's a network that we need to promote each other. I think that we need to put ourselves out there, and we need to be I think allowing, because even when I was a head coach, I not struggled, but it was hard to find people and women that wanted to coach or to really have that big breath. But I do think that we need to not promote, like self-promote in a flaky, just say all the great things about yourself, but we need to be aggressive in seeking these things and being confident about what we could bring to the table. But I hope from the higher ups, there's an understanding from those who are hiring that it's important to have women's leadership and to then lead your players and show what they can do. Because me playing for male coaches, the way they lead is very different than being now with Cheryl, or even the way she leads. And Nancy Darce, like there's a our lives are different. Our experiences are different. And to see that is, and to navigate that, I think is important. So I hope that the decision makers can weigh that when they do make their hires and are searching, have a broader search for who they're looking for, and really value and think about what they're doing and being intentional about it.
Absolutely. So Megan's wondering if you've had any involvement with the U.S. Olympic team for 20, or now 21, and kind of what your perspective is on that team.
Yeah, so I got lucky enough that I've been on the board for the last 2 quads. So the last Olympic team, and this will be my last quad because I'm a player rep. They need player representation on the board and then on the selection committee and some of the other committees. So I'm within the 10-year kind of playing career. So that's why I got chosen. There's also a male athlete. So I have been able to be on the other side of selection, bylaws, how things are organized. They changed like kind of the requirements and how to make a tournament and who makes the Olympics. So it's been nice. It's harder on this end. It's much easier just playing and getting picked and going to win a game. Like, we have such amazing players, and it's really hard to get to 12. And that's been a really tough thing of just making sure you're putting the best team together. And obviously there's a committee. So I have been involved. Love learning the other side. I spent a lot of time with those people, and I just love people pass the torch to us, the players ahead of us, and they taught us by example of how to lead and what it looks like and how you should be as a USA basketball player representing your country. We did that for the younger generation, and now they're passing along. So we take a lot of pride in that, those of us that were able to be a part of it, and it means a lot to be able to be on this side and just see kind of all the inner workings on all the different, now being a coach, the things they worried about that we had no clue that they were actually worried about.
Well, let's segue a little bit to the WNBA. That Barbara's curious, as we all are, when the WNBA season will resume and kind of how it will fit within the space of all the other sports trying to get started at the same time.
Yeah, so obviously the NBA and ourselves are somewhat, sister and brothers. So it'll look, hopefully something like that, where you probably have a clean site. When, it's still debated, but hopefully soon. And I'm actually in Minnesota right now, and it was coaches were meeting and trying to prep and do the things we can with the information that we have. But looking that we're going to have one, probably similar to the NBA type of style. And then hopefully we'll be on TV with the TV deals that we have. Won't have fans. So, I don't know if music will be played or what the energy will be like, but it'll be, it's something new for us, and we'll navigate it. As we were joking before about staying nimble. That is the hashtag all year, stay nimble. Like, just, and for me as being an athlete, and anybody that has, every year that your team changes, people graduate, people leave, people get injured, coaching changes, you may get traded, all of this. And I think as athletes, it's the next man up. Right? It's next man up. Like, the job doesn't change, no matter who's there, where it's at, what you're doing, like, you still have a job to do. And I think that's, we're kind of built for that. It doesn't mean that we love it. It's just, all right, what's next? What do we have to do now since that happened? All right, what do we do? So that's what we're going to be. Hopefully we'll be on TV playing some basketball, obviously be a shorter season. But, at least we'll have it and be able to, see the talent that the WNBA has to offer.
So, the WNBA got a great deal of attention by being, when the draft happened, and obviously it was such an amazing, just what a class of draftees. We have a couple questions related to that. One, William's asking us about salaries, and you and I were talking a little bit ago about baseball and how they don't seem to be super willing to negotiate at the moment. You don't hear that about women's sports and the WNBA, and I think a lot of people think that women play for the love of the game and men sometimes play for the money in the game. How do you see kind of the attendance and the interest and television revenue and all of those pieces coming into play as it pertains to the WNBA and its future success?
Yeah, so we obviously we talked about this too, is that you have to make money to be able to spend it and give it to your athletes, because you wouldn't have a league. So there's always a fine line of how much you can do. But I was really proud of our players and our league prior to this season. They signed a new CBA and increased the salaries, motherhood with ladies that are pregnant and have kids, of just some of the benefits and the player experience and the quality for the player. So I'm really proud that we pushed that envelope and that they were willing to do that. The WNBA was willing to push that and to give our players more money. And something you always don't want to, kind of taught, don't push the envelope, don't complain too much, be happy for what you have. But that's kind of what they want you to do. I mean, but you have to use your voice. You have to keep pushing the envelope. Yes, you have to kind of, all right, where are we at now? We have to somewhat accept to a point, but you have to start thinking about how can we make this better? How can we get more? And also doing your part, like putting the product on the floor, speaking up, making sure that you're there, showing up in the community and doing the things that are asked to help promote the sport. So it's that sweat equity in it. But I just, to be happy with what you're getting is not the mindset that we need as women. And that's just something that I think we're taught to just kind of be happy. But I think if there's an unequal, like, hey, we're bringing this in and I'm doing the job same as somebody else and they're getting paid, I think it should be voiced and it should be respected. So I'm just proud of the league and I think it's a start. And now we got to, again, we have to bring in from each team has to continue to get corporate sponsors and to be able to find more money and ticket holders. So there's all these pieces and the players have to do their part and promoters in the community and put a great product on the floor. So I think all these pieces together, we can continue to grow it and also challenge our local medias and media in general to give it exposure. Let people know what's going on and that it's here and who these, but I also think social media, the platform that these ladies have, some of these guys are well known, Diana, Sue Bird, Della Don, Natasha Cloud recently, that helps too, because then they have their own platform and are able to really showcase who they are, not only as a basketball player, but just as a woman.
And all the things that you're saying, if you just take the word basketball out of it, how important all these messages are for women. And I'm wondering, what do you think the effect is on young women when they see women stand up for themselves like the WNBA has done and start to see that this is not we're going to take it because we're women, but now, we are going to be people and we're all going to be equal in treatment.
Yeah, believe in yourself. And you got to demand, you have to have a standard and believe in yourself. And again, you have to bring value, which we know we do. And again, it's not just women, right? We need allies. We have men all over that continue to help promote and to grow and be our allies in all this. Like we need each other, but as us, we have to believe and have the confidence in ourselves, to trust ourselves that let's do it. It's take the job, even if you don't know exactly. Like, man, I don't know everything I need to know yet, but let's jump in and let's take a shot at it. And not saying, oh, I'm not ready, I need more experience and this, that, and the other. Like go in there and work your tail off and grow. But I think it's amazing that young women can see these women with voices that look like them, that come from where they come from, who are tall, who are muscular, who are skinny, that are just out here being amazing and are having that voice about all things, not just basketball, about all things. And that's, even Maya Moore stepping away from game to, social justice to help somebody, basically clear their name that's been, wrongly imprisoned. Phenomenal people who are not only amazing on the floor, but just then their passion for other things and to make change in a real way is just like, you just sit back and a lot of these ladies just make you be like, wow, it's pretty impressive.
Who are some of the players that you admire most? WNBA, NBA, people out there doing athletics in general. And Elisa's asking, what are the skills that you enjoy watching or using?
I like people who, for me, like I loved Kevin Garnett back when I played in Minnesota. I just thought his personality, his love for the game, his work ethic. I love DT. Diana Taurasi is one of my faves. Tamika Catchings, Teresa Edwards, old school, five-time Olympian. Donna Staley. She was always one of my favorite teammates, and now what she's doing at South Carolina, leading them, and just being her. Like if anybody knows Dawn, like her personality, she's slick, like but she's true to who she is. She's always been authentic, and I love it just to see her and the success that she's having. So those are some of the people. I think Cheryl Reeve, who I'm working for now, who coached me at Detroit, she was an assistant there, and now the head coach at Minnesota Lynx, is somebody that the way she uses her voice, the way she educates herself on all topics, the way she stands up for women and equality and for her team, and the way she leads is just something that I'm like, yeah, like you're just learning, like, man, you got to use your voice. Like, how do you use your voice? How do you make an impact? And then how do you lead a group? And I've had experience with that, but you're constantly learning and constantly trying to add and making sure that you can be the best for them, so that when you're in their journey and you're in their lives for whatever period of time, that you're making an impact and allowing them to go out and continue to grow and impact themselves. Those are some of the folks that I look at and I'm like, man, just always stealing stuff and wanting to, how can you continue to grow and make a bigger impact in the world that, I live in.
So we have several questions about college basketball, so I'm going to kind of thematically link them. One is from Naomi, talking about what it will take to increase the number of top programs, recognizing the UConn phenomenon, the Oregon phenomenon. Like, you have these teams that seem to grab the top spot and hold it. How do we create better equity in college sports for women?
I think it has gotten better, which is great. Like, you have a lot of top tier programs like Notre Dame and UConn and South Carolina and, even Florida State in their own right, and Stanford. And so I think you've gotten more. Vic Schaefer was at Mississippi State. Now Nikki McCray is there. And then Vic is over at Texas. I just think it's when, as a coach, like, your part of your job is to promote and to engage and to fans, to interact, to the value of the experience, the value that they have of being a part of it. I don't think it's always wins and losses. Yes, we have to win games to keep jobs, and that's the gig. But it's something bigger too when people are fans. And I think sometimes even for the women's game, maybe even more, is that you're part of it. You're part of this team. You're part of the experience. And to be acknowledged and to be included, to have access, it's big. It's bigger. Like, it matters. So I think we as coaches have to do our part of promoting and to putting ourselves out, going out and meeting people and saying hello and engaging. And I think that's just part of it, is we do that job to increase our fan base, which hopefully increases revenue, which then, hopefully get some recruits and win some games. So I just think there's your community, you can build that. Whether it's the high school sports. So I think you have to work at it. And then also challenge your players to engage. Because I know when I was a college kid, I mean, all of us, I think in college, are like, I don't really want to go talk to anybody. I didn't have to. I didn't really want to just strike up a conversation. And, I think I was lucky enough that my mom and dad made sure that, go do it. This is what you need to do. And I also had coaches with Nancy that pushed us to, was speaking out, the DARE program back in the day and doing that. So, was kind of not forced to, but pushed, like, all right, you need to. And I think it matters because it teaches us a lot. You get to learn more about your fan base, which then gives a better connection for everybody. And the experience is, bigger than just playing a game.
I mean, that's so interesting you said that, because it just really dawned on me about how inclusive I feel when I'm at a women's basketball game. Marcella Packer and I are very good friends, and I used to watch her play all the time. And at the men's game, you're a fan, but at the women's game, I felt like I was part of the team. How can we kind of make that should we be making that part of all sports? Shouldn't fans feel in general like they're kind of?
It's hard. I mean, it is hard, right? I mean, an NBA player or a college basketball player, if that was the case, they'd probably never get home with the people wanting to talk to them and engage them. I mean, that's where we'd like to be, all right, where we have to fight people off with a stick because there's so many people at the game. But I think there's an appreciation because it's not the end all be all. I mean, we're not making, I hope one day we're making millions of dollars, but at the end of the day, most of us have to find another job and have a career that there's an understanding of that. You're helping us by you being here. The game and what we're giving and the interactions are very important, and that we kind of need each other in a sense. Whereas the men, I think it's just different. Like, it's, they show up no matter what, and you're kind of a superstar. Maybe they're even harder on you, in the media, and obviously we get a lot of treated almost like professional athletes sometimes when you're in college. So I think our appreciation, even if we get paid millions, I hope we have the same appreciation for those that are supporting, and that we acknowledge the importance of them. And I think it's just something special about the women's game. It always has been. And I hope it always kind of stays, but I also hope we'll make more money.
Absolutely. Thinking about people who have the potential to make more money, we have a question here from Tom Murphy, who's in Oregon. He located there in 75 after graduating from Ohio State in 73. He'd like your thoughts on those top picks coming out of Oregon this year.
Yeah, we worked hard for the first pick in New York. I didn't get a chance to coach her, but but Sabrina, I think, is awesome. I think she's a competitor first and foremost. Like she hates to lose, so she has that fire that find a way to win a game, no matter what she has to do. Knock down a shot, make the pass. She's a smart basketball player. Well-rounded skill-wise, but I think that fire in her is just going to help, obviously carry her as she goes through her career. Obviously, Sabali, Satu, 6'4", versatile, guard-like, rebounder, shoots it well. Like just the athleticism that she brings is going to be huge down in Dallas. So talented crew. And then obviously Hebert, who's a rebounding machine and puts things back. So talent galore. And it'll be fun to see them. It's going to be a little different this year with the short season and how they adjust. And, some may, not struggle, but don't know how all of them are going to fit. But obviously next year, this is a great chance for them to learn a little bit before next year we hopefully have a full season. But yeah, it'll be fun to see some of these guys on the floor against some WNBA folks.
Oh yeah. Well, you're gonna like this one from Richard. He thinks that you still look like you're in your 20s, and so he'd like to know if you play organized ball and what your exercise regimen is. And that kind of goes to William's question about the life of an NBA player, both in season and off season. So how do you exercise, and then what's it like to be in the WNBA?
Yeah, it's changed. Thank you. I have good genes. Thanks, Mom and Dad. So they took care of me there. I kind of come and go in a workout, but I do cardio. I had a couple knee surgeries and a herniated disc in my back. So as a lot of you guys probably have, you kind of tweak things as you go. So I try to lift a little bit, nothing major. And then I do some cardio probably 5 to 6 days a week on a elliptical bike. I'm not a runner. I'll walk. Running's never been my thing. Even when I played, I do what I needed to do to be in shape, but I wasn't going out for a jog. So I don't play anymore. I love playing pickup back in the day, obviously when I was playing, but I don't play anymore. It's just things could go all the way wrong at my age, and I do not want to have another surgery for that. Being in the WNBA, it depends. When you're younger, if you play overseas and then come back to the WNBA, you're playing basketball most of the time. So you're doing what lifting you can, but you're also having practices and trying to recover. And then when you have a break, you're trying to take time off because your body's just beat up. If you don't go overseas and you're off season, there's a base cardio, you're a runner or machines, you're lifting, you're also doing individual workouts, and then you're also playing pickup. I played a lot of pickup. I do workouts during the day, and then at night I go play pickup or wherever. You could go get runs. But it's a busy day. It's a full day. And you do it almost every day of the week, something. So it was a full-time job, but it's a job to get paid to work out. I'd sign up for that one all day, every day. But put in a lot of hours, and just trying to make sure that your body's right, but also your game is right. And as you get older, you just try to tweak things that you're kind of not beating yourself up as much, but also giving yourself a base that you can go function.
No question. Well, we have several people who want to know what the likelihood is that you would come back and coach the Buckeyes.
I love my alma mater. I love what they're doing. I'm always a fan, but I love what I'm doing now and where I'm at, but I'm, always a Buckeye. When it'd be, a huge thing if I ever could. But I'm very happy where I'm at right now, but that's definitely something that would be on a wish list.
Well, let's talk about the Buckeyes a little bit. It's been, the seasons are up and down, it seems like sometimes, and certainly the postseason has been a challenge for some of these teams. And now we've seen some pretty high level recruits, Dot Bell being one of them, leaving, relatively quickly. What's your kind of take on where the Buckeyes are now, where they may be heading, and kind of what are some of the challenges of coaching a college team in the current climate?
Yeah, currently it's tough, right? You got kids. The transfer portal is a huge piece, and I honestly don't have all the ins and outs. It's not my day to day, but that has to be a tricky thing. And I think folks enter or players enter that portal for many reasons. Some of them valid, where maybe they made a decision and they got there and they're like, you know what, this isn't the fit for me, and it's just time. Somewhere else is a better fit. And other times it's maybe upset with playing time or whatever. It could be a zillion things, and it could be good for some, and maybe it's just a knee-jerk reaction on others. But that's a tough thing for coaches to have to plan for, because they're recruiting a year in advance, a couple years in advance, and they thought they had a full roster, and now they're having to fill in the gaps. So just the challenge of the time they spend to recruit each player, it's from, I don't know, 7th, 8th grade. They know these, it's just all the way through, and then you're waiting to see what decision is made. And it's just got to be tough, for them. And I have a lot of friends that do that. So I don't know the ins and outs, and I don't know if some of the players leaving is a good thing, which it could be, addition by subtraction. It could be where it's going to be a hole and those players will really be missed. But a lot of times you want people that want to be there. And at the end of the day, I think, Coach McGuff and his staff are going to want people who want to be there, and I want to be part of the Buckeyes, who want to play and represent the university and hopefully continue to grow. So as coaches, you want that, and you'll take them, and let's battle with what we have. But also, they can benefit from the transfer portal, which they have in the past. And I think Coach McGuff does a nice job with that, of getting players to come. So looking forward to a good year for them. And they're freshmen. They had a lot of locals who did some amazing things. So it was fun to watch them. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, the talent, the talent there, but then the babies were really a lot of fun. And I thought their energy was awesome. And so I'm excited. Again, I just think it's constantly evolving and morphing and changing. But I'm excited for what they're doing. But they were always, he's always able, and his staff able to get talent into Ohio State.
Well, the idea of bringing in talent, I'm sure from so many aspects of being a coach and being a teammate, it's difficult to gauge people on paper and gauge them when their personalities come in. And Deborah's asking if you have any advice that you might give HRs in terms of the value of hiring an athlete.
Oh yeah. I think you should. I'm a little biased.
No prejudice here.
No prejudice. But I do think for us, when we scout, and also I think hiring people, I think, is a very difficult thing. I think scouting and drafting may be a little easier, but like for me, hiring a staff, because you're hearing the best of their best selves. The people who they give as contacts or references usually are people who are in their circle of support. But you really have to dig, so you have to do your homework, and you have to dig to people who are maybe not in their circle that maybe it will give you a true representation of that. So I just think that's a tricky thing, because we also know that having the right people in your group, in your staff, for your business is as important as anything else, are having the right people. So for us, our scouting is, yes, athleticism, skills. We really dig into what type of person they are. Are they a good teammate? Is this, what's their motivation? Like, is it team? Is it winning? Or is it just getting, their own stats and accolades? So that is a huge part of what we dive into. And it's, when I was under Bill, when I coached, and now with Reeve, it's just understanding, like, what do you want to bring in, and where do you draw the line? But I do believe that athletes, the work ethic, the ability, honestly, to work with people, to work with a diverse group of people, to pick yourself up when you have a bad day, and you get coach calls you and is hollering at you all day. You're able to go home and regroup and come back the next day. So I do believe there are some innate things, the challenges, the thinking on the fly, the ability to work with people that we have and been challenged already. Yes, we may need to learn some skills and some things, but I think who they are, if they've kind of gone through that, it really sets them up to have success and hopefully learn and grow and become a really good teammate and wherever you're at.
Absolutely. There's certain challenges that come with being an athlete, and you know, part of it is you get put into a work environment per se that maybe you don't pick your coworkers. And there can be struggles that you can't avoid. And we have a question here. Howard's asking about has there been any instances of racism that you've experienced or prejudice that you've experienced within the course of your playing career between high school, college, WNBA, kind of across the board?
Yes. Well, and that, when talking about the racism piece, I personally haven't. I've been blessed to play a sport and to be on teams where, and been overseas where I've always just been open and I wanted to learn. I just wanted to be, and I wanted to be with friends and to get to know them as people, and not even learn. I mean, culturally, yeah. I mean, I didn't think of it as that. Like, I want to know your culture. It was more, I wanted just to know you. Like,
Right.
you know, where you from? What do you eat? Like, all right, where are we going? We're going to your folks' house. You're coming to mine. This is what I did when I grew up. This is, you know, we laugh at each other. We laugh at things that, you know, white people do. We enjoy each other and do it in a way that's respectful. That is always first and foremost, and being aware of being how people feel and being. But I was always I just wanted to get to know people and whatever came with it. You know, you got two moms, you got a mom and a dad, you come from the city, you come from a farm. I was in 4-H. They love seeing the pictures of me showing a steer and a sheep, because they only know me as a basketball player. So like all of our childhood lives and all the other things we did, they're like, what? You did what? You know how to cook? So it's honestly just getting to know people. And then, you know, a lot of us have all played overseas, and it's so much fun to go overseas and just be willing to, because everybody's so proud of like their home,
Right.
and want to show you their culture and their city and their country, and they just like, let's go to this restaurant, let's go do this is how we do it. And to be willing to be like, all right, I'll go. It just is a welcoming respect. And you may not like it, but man, that's terrible, I don't really want that again. But to understand and to embrace just people and learning, you know, it's just, man, I love it. I just have loved the experiences that, you know, and just get what I get to learn on a daily basis from the people. But also to stay aware of my day-to-day is very different than my teammates.
Right.
Like every day they think of and get some type of racist something, whether they just get followed in a store, whether they actually have a fear of going outside and driving, you know, and being so just there day to day, and that you'll never know about it. That's where I know my friends, teammates, you know, and folks, we don't even know like what they go through in their head and their daily thought process, that it would drive us crazy. Like, I think it would really, and they go about their day like nothing. And so it's being aware of that and understanding is exhausting for them. Something, you know, especially right now, it's exhausting to have to deal with this again and again and again. So as I said, I always try to be open. I always try to care about people, and treat people with the respect that they deserve. So, and that's why I've been blessed to have so many people from so many walks of life. Like, I love it. It's broadened my world and painted it with all kind of colors to, you know, growing up in Logan, you know, and then now just everything, the experiences I've had, I love it. It just made my world even better.
And Richard's kind of asking if we could expand on that a little bit about the transgender population and the struggles that they've had in terms of finding where to compete. So we've had a lot of you know, controversy recently about transgender females being able to compete in girls' high school sports. What's your take on that?
I don't know yet. I have a good friend who is kind of beyond the binary. Lauren put together a documentary, and it's kind of like just don't have a box, right? I exist. You know, we exist, and I get it. You know what I mean? I respect it. The pronouns. I understand. I'm not great with all of it because, again, I'm kind of growing up. It's just all right. He, she. So I try to, and I know I'm not always great. Even Lauren, I think Lauren is amazing. I forget they want to be, you know, so I have to work on this and be cognizant of it. But Lauren's thing is about we exist is to just it's not women's basketball. It's just basketball. And I don't know where I stand because I don't want opportunities to go away for women that if kind of all one melting pot, men are more physically dominant, or have more muscle, or bigger, taller, fat. That's life. That's that's what it is. So I don't know how it looks. I respect it. Is there a I don't know how they'll do it. I don't know how it looks. As I said, I want everybody to be their authentic self. Um, but I also want people to have an opportunity and be able to play basketball, um, because we don't have it. We're not all created equal in the sense of physical abilities. So I don't know how it looks, but I hope conversation still happens. I hope things change, and the world in general about that, and that people can be more accepting. Because I do. I want whatever you want to be and who you are, you should be able to do that, and also be able to do the things you want to do.
Absolutely. How do you think players differ now from when you first started playing in the WNBA? I mean, or first started playing basketball. So there's an evolution of how players appear and how they perform and the expectations maybe. And I don't know, it really struck me when you said earlier about the length of your career. I mean, we don't hear about, high level male players who play as long as you did. Is there something physiologically different, or has the sport evolved in such a way that we're going to still see players with as long a career as you've had, or how do you think it's going to kind of?
I think it's hit and miss. I mean, there's a couple of ladies right now. I mean, Birdie and Catch played a long time. I know Tina Thompson, Delisha Milton. Like, there's a lot of players who can. Part of it's how you. First of all, it is. I mean, we're all gifted. I know I've heard Urban Meyer. Like, you've been given a skill set, right? You are athletic. You can run, jump, chew gum at the same time. Like, you have that. Now, what you do with that, you can take it to a whole nother level, or you can leave it here. So, but you've been given a gift. So, for us, there's that, right? Some people's careers have been cut short, not by their own doing. It's because their bodies couldn't take it. Their knees or something wasn't able to do that. And that's more genetics than anything. So some people have the genes, and then both your work ethic, how you take care of yourself, both nutritionally, physically, and also mentally. Are you able to adjust and be smart enough to kind of navigate how your career goes and how the game goes and how to perform and keep up even when you've lost a little bit of speed? Are you able to be smart enough to figure out and to understand how to guard things? And then there's an adjustment piece of how do you handle your career as you peak as a go-to all-star, and then as you dwindle off, and how far is that drop off, and can you play a different role and embrace it, accept it, and still be a positive for a team? Some people can, some people can't. And having good veterans and team players on your team matters and are worth money. I mean, you'll pay people who've been coming from winning cultures that can be a great practice player or team or in locker room person. So I think those are some of the pieces that allow you to stick around. And then there's a mental piece. I think when I retired, yes, it's your body. You don't want to, you're kind of tired of getting beat up. You're tired of, I got to warm up before I even warm up. And if we stop doing stuff, like, I need a break. But there's a mental piece of it's really, really hard to be at that edge. It starts to wear on you. And you don't want to be there all the time, because it is an effort. It's a concentration. And I think that's when you do retire, it's both the physical and the mental. That's, you're ready to not have to be on that edge every single day, because it is it's work. It is work.
There's a lot of people who retire and go off to their lives and are perfectly fine. And there's other people that keep giving. I happen to be friends with Stephanie Infante. Saw you out there handing out the Sports in a Bag program. You've been on the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer. When you're at the Liberty working on prison reform. Why? Why is this important to you to use your platform to pay it forward?
You think about just what my career was not done by me. The opportunities that I had and keep having are not because I just played basketball and worked really, really hard. Like, there are so many people even now in my life that continue to pave ways, and are mentors and are on the other side pushing the envelope for women. And so I think back at everyone has kind of been in my life and like what they did for me, and also those that in the bigger picture have created these opportunities. So And then you also on a day-to-day run into people and you see people that are using their voices and doing these amazing things. And you're like, I need to do more. I want to give back. How do you do that? And I think it's just the willingness of trying to. But for me, it's constantly thinking that none of this is my doing. It's literally, I have benefited from the many, many people before me, and women especially, who have created this. And now we are able to reap this benefit. And now I want to be able to do whatever it is uh, for those that are coming after us, that we continue to give them the opportunity in whatever career they want or life they want. So that's kind of why is that the thankful, just almost thanking those that created these paths for us.
Absolutely. Well, Kristen Watt has a really great question, I think, which is, what are one or two things that you know now that you wish you knew or appreciated back in the day?
I think, oh, jeez. I think one thing is I think we even talked about this one time we ran into each other at a grocery store, is, sometimes you get caught up in that you're supposed to know what you're going to do in your life. Like you're supposed to, like, I got it, I know it, boom. I think embracing somewhat the unknown, embracing kind of where you're at, and that your journey is going to take you in a lot of different ways. And to somewhat embrace that kind of path. I think, I struggle a little bit because I want to know what's next. I want to know like how my life is going to be, where am I going to be? But that's just not how it works. It doesn't, I should know it by now. And then another piece is, I think it's a good thing is just the relationships. My parents, as I said, kind of made sure I always was talking and trying to, shake hands and make sure you speak to people. But the relationships I had from college, from my professors to my advisors to, I just think the relationships that I've had even as I've gone, invest in those and work at them. Because literally the people that I've known back then, now that's what creates your world. That creates both your personal happiness, it creates your professional network, and then stay connected. Kind of, keep them warm, basically. Don't just ask somebody, don't reach out to somebody when you need something. Make sure that you're keeping them warm and also having those personal conversations and just staying connected, and it takes work. You got to make sure that you're putting the thing. So I think those are a couple of the things. It's just really value the relationships of everyone in your world, and invest in those, because they really do, both professionally and personally, will make up your life, and it can give you a lot of energy and really make your world a special place.
What you just said resonated so much in so many ways. And one of them is the fact that you like to know where things are going. And never known less, I think, where things are going. And so, one of the reasons we started this whole series was we had people who were home students, alums, who just felt disconnected and lost, and they didn't feel like there was any ground that we could feel was firm. We're coming out of it to a degree, but we've had a lot more uncertainty. What would you say to those people who are, the Buckeye Nation that's out there that kind of has clung to certain normalcies that now we all have to adapt to a new normal? How would you help them kind of gain the traction that they need to keep moving forward?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mindset. It is your support group. Some of us, it's nothing, right? So people, we're all built different. Some of us don't need a lot of interaction. We don't need people to check on us. Other people need people to check in on them. They need that. They need the support. So I think each person is a little different, but I think it's focusing on kind of what you can do right now, and not thinking of this grander big picture. It's more of like, what do I need to do both, maybe personally, maybe and then professionally? What's the next thing I have to do? And I struggle with this sometimes. I think of like this big idea of this large idea, and I never take the first step. I'm like the worst. I'm like, because I don't know. It's just like, just do the first thing. And I struggle sometimes. And somebody told me is kind of work backwards, right? Don't think of the end. Think of like the perfect, like whatever you want, and then kind of work back from that. Don't get tied up on like what's first. But I do think it's just every single person is different, and don't be afraid to speak up of what you need. if you are struggling, don't hide it. It's strength, I think, is for people to make themselves vulnerable. Um, and I think earlier you talked about like a team, right? And how you work with coworkers that you maybe don't like or don't get along. And Coach Reeve talked about, like, honestly, you have to find something in each person that you care about. You can't just come to work and not care about the people you are spending your time with.
Right.
You have to find something that you care about, that you respect, that you are like, that's why, because you have to take care of each other. At the end of the day, you really do. Even though maybe you're just different in everything you do, but you have to find something that you're like, man, I think this is awesome, and get to know them. So I think when you say like, hey, I don't have to like you, I think genuinely you have to find something that you care about them and like in each person that you're around at any significant time.
I think that's what Buckeyes do best, right? We take care of each other.
Yeah, I do believe that. I tell you, the more and more and the older I get, it is unbelievable how Buckeye Nation comes together for so many things. Like it's wild. Like, it really always surprises me, because I go on a Buckeye cruise for cancer, and everywhere I go, I mean, Buckeye Nation it is something special. I mean, it really, and it's so large, and I love it. I just, even more and more as I get older, I'm even proud. I'm so proud to be a Buckeye.
You and me both. Katie Smith, this has been the privilege that I cannot express to you how privileged I feel to have had this conversation with you and with all of you out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is the last of our SSI huddles that we'll be having. We'll be back in August with plenty of notice so that you'll know that we're coming. But please check out the ones that we've done before. Katie's video will be archived on our website as well. And please join me in thanking the legend, Katie Smith. And we're just so grateful to you, and we wish you the best of luck when the season gets started. And please stay safe and healthy and well.
Thank you, Nicole. Thanks, everyone.